कर रहे हैं विश्व शांति की जरूरत को, और देखेंगे कुछ फंक्शंस कितने मददगार साबित हो रहे हैं महिला सशक्तिकरण में। आज महिलाएं हर फील्ड में ना सिर्फ आगे बढ़ रही हैं, बल्कि अपनी मेहनत के जरिए टॉप कर बना रही हैं अपनी अलग पहचान और लगातार हो रही हैं सशक्त।
मैं बड़े होकर डॉक्टर बनना चाहती हूँ। मैं एक आर्किटेक्ट या फिर सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर बनना चाहती हूँ। मैं बड़े होकर इंजीनियर बनना चाहती हूँ। मैं डॉक्टर बनना चाहती हूँ।
इन नन्ही बच्चियों का सपना पूरा होने में तो अभी काफी वक्त है, लेकिन अपने कॉन्वोकेशन फंक्शन में डिग्रियां लेती इन लड़कियों के करियर की शुरुआत हो चुकी है, और एमएससी के बाद एमफिल कर चुकी इन लड़कियों का सपना है अपनी एक खास पहचान बनाने का।
एमफिल कॉन्वोकेशन हुआ है हमारा, और ये हमारे जीवन का एक टर्निंग पॉइंट है, सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट डे है।
मैं एक बहुत छोटे क्षेत्र से आई हूँ यहाँ पर एमफिल करने के लिए, और मैं मानती हूँ कि अगर आपके अंदर हौसला है और आपके अंदर कुछ भी करने की हिम्मत है तो आप कुछ भी कर सकते हैं।
मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई है, आज मुझे एमफिल की डिग्री मिली है।
1 साल से जो हम लोग मेहनत कर रहे थे एमफिल की, आज उसका हमें ये प्रतिफल मिला है, और इसकी इम्पोर्टेंस हम लोगों की लाइफ में हम लोग काफ़ी टाइम से इस आज के दिन की प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं।
इस फंक्शन में डिग्री लेती इन लड़कियों ने साबित कर दिया कि वो भी किसी से कम नहीं। फंक्शन में भी कुछ बड़ी हस्तियों ने भी शिरकत की, जिनका मानना था कि करियर की शुरुआत करने जा रहे इन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए इस तरह के फंक्शन खासा इम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं।
अगर हम अपनी लड़कियों को पढ़ाएंगे तो आज हम देख रहे हैं हमारे देश की राष्ट्रपति महिला है, हमारे प्रदेश की मुख्यमंत्री महिला है। अगर हम उनको पढ़ाएंगे, कल वही हमारे समाज को निखारेंगी। बिना लड़कियों की पढ़ाई के कुछ नहीं हो सकता है। आज हमने अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी में भी लड़कियों के लिए अलग से सीट रिजर्व की हैं कि अगर लड़की आती है तो हम उसको अलग से उसको स्पेशल कैटेगरी में उसको एडमिशन देते हैं।
तो हम लोग जो बच्चों को शिक्षा देते हैं वो प्रैक्टिकल ज़्यादा शिक्षा देते हैं। बच्चों की जो शिक्षा है वो किताबी ना होके साथ साथ प्रैक्टिकल भी है, और उसके साथ साथ बच्चों को जो एक एनवायरनमेंट मिलता है वो एक उनका सर्वांगीण विकास होता है।
महिलाएं आगे आ रही हैं और वो भी इस जगह पर, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा हम लोगों के लिए गौरव का दिन है, क्योंकि मुझे ये अच्छा लगा देख के 13 एमफिल छात्रों में 11 जो थे वो सिर्फ छात्रा थी। तो इसका ये मतलब है कि हमारे यहाँ महिलाएं आगे आ रही हैं।
इन लड़कियों का पूरा भरोसा है कि वो इस फील्ड में अपना बेहतर परफॉर्म करेंगी, क्योंकि इंस्टीट्यूट द्वारा प्रोवाइड की गई वर्ल्ड क्लास एजुकेशन, बेहतर एनवायरनमेंट और इस तरह की को करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज ने उन्हें इस काबिल बनाने में कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी है।
हर बच्चे को वो एजुकेशन देनी है जो आज दुनिया में उसको लोग एक्सेप्ट करें, उसको लें। जैसे आज हम अगर कंप्यूटर आईटी की बात करते हैं तो सारी दुनिया में आज हमारे जो प्रोफेशनल्स हैं वो काम कर रहे हैं, तो हम वो एजुकेशन दें जो पूरी दुनिया हमें समझे कि भाई ये जो एजुकेशन सिर्फ इंडिया में हो सकती है।
शिक्षा न दे के हम कोशिश करते हैं एक वातावरण बनाने की, एक क्लाइमेट, एक एनवायरनमेंट उन्हें देने की जो वो सेल्फ लर्निंग कर सकें, वो अपने आप में सीख सके, समाहित कर सकें, अपने अंदर जो उनके ज्ञान है उसे अपने अंदर समाहित कर सकें।
मेरे टॉप करने से शायद ये बात प्रूफ होती है कि लड़कियां भी काफ़ी कुछ आगे बढ़ सकती हैं। हम सबको ये हौसला मिलता है और ये इंस्पिरेशन मिलती है कि हमें भी कुछ करना चाहिए। आजकल मैं इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में ही लेक्चरर हूँ, और ये यही वजह है कि जिस तरीके से मैं सेमिनार अटेंड करती थी उसमें मेरा इतना कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल बढ़ता था कि मैं बहुत ही इजीली इंटरव्यू फेस कर पाई। रिसर्च प्रोग्राम भी स्टार्ट हो चुका है, तो आई थिंक फ्यूचर ब्राइट है।
हर क्षेत्र में लड़कियां आगे हैं, कहीं भी लड़कों से पीछे नहीं हैं। ऐसी बात नहीं है कि लड़के लड़कियों में कोई अंतर है, लेकिन ये बात है कि मेहनत, डेडिकेशन हम कितना देते हैं अपने काम में, सबसे बड़ी बात ये होती है।
करियर की शुरुआत करने जा रही ये लड़कियां दिख रही हैं काफी कॉन्फिडेंट, जो उनकी प्रगति के लिए भी खासा जरूरी है, और इन्हें इस मुकाम तक पहुंचाने का काम कर रहे ये संस्थान भी सराहनीय तो है ही।
Paresh sir, you are already joined. Uh, Paresh sir, at the taskbar area, there is Zoom logo. Click on that, sir.
हेलो, हाँ, कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं आप? हाँ, बोलिए। सो डायरेक्टली मुझे अभी प्रेजेंटेशन पे क्लिक करना है। ओके, मेरा स्लाइड विजिबल है ना सर?
सर, योर वॉइस
ओके,
एंड
तो 3 बजे हम
बोथ
लोग
आर
स्टार्ट
विजिबल
करते हैं
सर.
ना? ओके सर, श्योर। मैं F5 करके करूंगा पूरा। नॉर्मली मैं F5 करता हूँ सर। ओके सर, श्योर, थैंक यू। Good afternoon to every one of you. Should we start, sir?
Yes, sir, it's visible now properly, full screen.
Okay, we should wait for that. Hello.
Hello?
હા, આમાં સ્પીકરમાં અવાજ કેવી રીતે સંભળાય? નથી. કઈ બાજુ જમણી બાજુ એ ખબર ના પડી મને. બોલો તો તમે બોલશો તો તમારો અવાજ કેવી સંભળાવો? હેલો.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Does say I am audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible and your screen also is visible now to us. We are just going to waiting for the Garg sir, then we can
Okay, so we are waiting for some time.
Okay. शेड्यूल्ड स्टूडेंट डालने उनकी लिस्ट भी डाल देता हूँ फिर.
Now the screen is viewable?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's see what happens. Yes, sir. Once everyone is there, you can just tell me. I will start it.
Yes, sir. Just we are waiting for someone join also. Then we can start.
No problem, sir.
Okay, just a few minutes more.
Okay.
आप इधर आओ, यहाँ आ जाओ, यहाँ आ जाओ सर. So welcome in the afternoon session.
Should we start, Professor Shah?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so it is my profound privilege and honor to introduce today's afternoon session eminent speaker, Professor Paresh Shah. He is really a diverse with diversified knowledge of management, biological science, environmental science, biology, and so many things. Last year, he was here in Shobhit University, and then we had interacted with him, and a large number of the students, they also interacted with him. And he's a wonderful orator, wonderful researcher, and the wonderful communicator also. And he's a editor of several research journals, chief editor, and has published more than a dozen of books and has edited the great environmental science, particularly on the bioremediation, analytical science, microbiology, and several things. So without standing much between you and him, I would now like to request Professor Paresh Shah to give his biodiversified introduction and his lecture. Professor Paresh Shah, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon to every one of you, to the on participant. I am basically from the Commerce faculty, but during the course of my study and postdoctorate, I have more interest have been happened in the human science and socio-economic parameters. Now today I maybe try to say that the biodiversity is being happening in a three way. As all of we know, one is going to be the genetic, second is going to be the species, and third is going to be the habitat. Today my concentration will be more on to discuss and to relate the biodiversity parameters with respect to the habitat situation with respect to the forest, grassland, deserts, mountain, rivers, oceans, and sea. So that saving life on earth in on form of the economy, in the on form is going to be very important. So that is going to be the nature ecosystem. We have to come to across towards the different things. First two things nice, I will take a just fundamental of the economics, and then I will come down on the topics. As you know the biodiversity very well, I am going to be related today with a habitat biodiversity. The economics theory is basically explain what we observe in reality. In real life, what we are being observing is very important. That is looking towards the lower class, lower middle class, upper middle class, how it is going to be happen. Each class we maybe keep it away for that purpose. So microeconomics analysis used to analyze the environmental problems and its impact coming on the municipality thesis and solid waste, how they are being disposing of, resulted into the society's human life being come into the problem. So economics and environment is basically associated with each other in the significant way. Like a circular flow model. The basis for the modeling is the relationship to be established between economic activity and environment. Generally, in the beginning of the economics, we used to be say that how the environment is going to support the economy. Now, today, after the global warming, climate changes, looking towards the COVID-19 situation, the need is happened to look from economical activity. and its impact on the environment, and the necessary government policy measures to be taken. So here we take that there is going to be the ion flow is going to be happen. That is basically the extraction of the nature resources from the beneath of the land, and cutting of the forest, cutting of the plant. Then there are going to be the factors. In the economics, we say that there are the four factors: land, neighbor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Land is basically including the on type of the nature resources. That is in terminology of the biodiversity, we say habitat diversity. Neighbor, we have to make sure that they can survive, they can get a standard of living in a proper way. Then there is going to be the output having generated, and that output should come to the society. And the very important point is coming that there is a money flow is being required. So it indicates that the flow of money happens when the demand is created. And that is the one of the very important thing. So there is a explanation is being required between the two. Now when we come down, I come down to the speeding in the circular model of the economy, where we are having the factor market, where I say land, neighbor, capital, and entrepreneurs. They are going to be, so household is going to be supply the resources, that is the neighbor to the factor market, and they get the income. That income goes towards the expenditure, and that expenditure will come from the output market. So what happened? That whatever the factors are being supplying the resources to the factor market, then the demand is going to be created by firm. The demand is going to be created by the firm if there is going to be revenue is generated from the output market. So the very fundamental point is coming that we, as a second highest populated country, we are demand oriented. We should not be the supply oriented. That is one of the very important points is being happening. And firms are being involved in supply. Output market is supplying the goods and services. And those goods and services are going to be demanded annually by the other party. When I come down to the nature and the factor market, so nature is going to be drawn from the nature. Household and firms are going to be withdraw the nature resources. They draw the nature resources from the nature. Like when we try to be say that we as an individual comes to the carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is basically happening on account of emissions from the combustions of the fossil fuels like oil, corns, and everything. Now these oils and corns are going to be demanded by household also for their internal need, and is also demanded by the firms. So it is going to be the partially, the carbon dioxide is going to be absorbed by the oceans and forests, but part of the residuals are going to be harmful to the society at large. So there is going to be those production having done by the output market. They are supplying the goods to the household, which may be resulted into the solid waste population and the poor waste management of the local bodies. Normally we observe every place, including the city of Ahmedabad, where the tons of waste, solid waste are being there, and they need to be cleared up. And that is going to be resulted into the acidic disposition to be happen. Then whatever being from the nature having taken by the household and the firms, residuals, they give it to the nature. Now, when they give it back to the nature, it is not been coming in the nature format. It is coming into the fabricated format, which is entered into the life of the society and has been get damaged. Now, when we try to be looks towards, for that particular purpose, there is a two methodology can be used by them. One very important thing is the material balance method is to be used. That is the relationship between economical activity and the environment. As I mentioned in the beginning, I may be trying to be talk from the economical activities and its environment. Flow of resources are the nature resource economics. Nature resource economics concerned with flow of resources from nature to the economic activities. Now, flow of residuals are coming in the form of the byproduct, released back into the environment. What I mentioned by way of example, I'm not from the science faculty, but as we understand that there is a carbon dioxide is going to be emitted by the oils and ponds, which is partially absorbed by the oceans, and that is going to be make the impact on the society. So there is a need to have the assimilative capacity. That is basically the capacity of the environment to absorb the residual in the society. And there is a need is happening for the recovery, recycling, and the reusability methods to delay the flow of residual. Where our government of India, at central level, state level, local level, require to make sure that recycling of the solid waste coming out from the household, coming out from the industry, from the chemical industries in the form of the polluants to be used in the systematic and logical way. So there are going to be the sources of pollutions. Sorry, I missed some error. I've been Paresh, Swarna बोला मुझे, I will stop things. Sir, 2 minutes, sir, give me the time. Some problem may be happen. And my son may be coming within a few minutes. I am having solved the problem. Okay, I think sometime it is going, sometime it is not going. I don't know what is happening. Okay. So material balance method has come. नहीं થઈ ગયું. આ માઉસમાં કંઈક પ્રોબ્લેમ થઈ ગયું. રેકોર્ડ કરી હવે રેકોર્ડિંગ ચાલુ. See, the sources of the pollutions are basically coming in the way of classifying the sources are grouped by the mobility. We have to understand the polluting sources happen whenever macroeconomic policies are to be developed by the government. That is going to be the stationary sources have been coming with a fixed size, like a electricity board or electricity generation plant or so. Or they are going to be the mobile sources have been happening. Whenever there is going to be the cellular system is going to be work, whenever there is going to be the fuels are going to be used by the automobile for the transportation of the goods and services. So we here try to be group those sources of pollution by the identifiable way. That is the government have to do very categorically. Point source. It means single source. Like whenever in Gujarat we have the GIBC as there, in a Vatwa industrial area, say it's a chemical industrial area, where the government have to make sure that the waste product or the wasted chemical does not flow into the Sabarmati river. So they have to make a point source that which institution, which industry, which particular unit, how much quantity they are doing it. Or there is going to be the non-point source, where it is going to be based on the overall fuel consumptions happened by the society at large. So there is a risk assessment needs to be done. Here I have very categorically shown the person with a COVID mask is being wear to save the self from the viruses. So there is a quantitative and quantitative evaluation of risk posed by an environment hazard is to be looked into. It means that whichever the neighbor is a second major factor of production needs to be maintained their productivity and efficiency. And risk management processes basically choosing the alternative responses to the environment. And how the alternative responses are going to be happen to the environment. And the environment is going to be work on that. Like I recall that in the year 2017, when I was being presenting one paper, where I made a population of India into the three categories. One is basically the future of India up to 20 years of age, then productive populations 20 to 55 years, and emotional populations beyond 55 years. Where from the statistical census database study and looking towards some government policy about the financial inclusions, interest rate reduction and so, I specifically come to the parameters and I openly get it published that by 2035, India is going to be have the highly ineffective and inefficient population will happen, which is on account of environmental situations and also the financial perspective. So there is an externality theory. So here I have just shown the scale, which is of the plastic scale. Nearly, it specifies the relevant market as an environmental as the goods whose production and consumption generate environment damage outside the market transaction. So externality is spillover effect with production or consumption that extend to a third party outside the market. Means what is the third party is going to be suffered. Normally we used to go to the hospital and we see and look that the biological wastage are being emitted everywhere, resulted into the nearby area, people are getting into the problem. So basics of the externality is coming to negative externality and external effect that generate the cost to a third party. And positive where the effect generate the benefit. So here the need is happened that government of India also have to frame the policy and at that time they have to look towards the externality and the spillover effect is coming and the cost benefit analysis is to be performed. The environmental externalities here I have tried to be shown the river, polluted river, interested in externalities that damage the atmosphere, water supplies, nature resources, and the overall quality of the life. This is basically what is there, that there is a near to the river, industrial plants are being situated, and that to chemical plants. They are being putting the chemicals, wasted chemical and wastages from the production process into the river, resulted into the hygienic level of the water is not being available. So environmental externalities can occur in relation to the both production and consumption. So we have to look towards the market failure of public goods market. I'm coming to the very speedily, non-elimination of the preferences. An outcome that arises when a Western consumer does not volunteer a willingness to pay because of the lack of market incentive to do so. So that is where the government needs to provide some type of the incentives, like tax benefit. If the pollution level, pollution criteria decided by them is situated below than the maximum level, and that too is going to be based on the territorial and sector level. That's one of the very important government policy suggestion we can see. That every territorial level, they have to decide for every industry the maximum level of the different type of the pollution they are being allowed to do it. If they do below to that level, there are some type of the tax benefits to be available in terms of the local taxes, so and so. Fee ridership recognition by Western consumer that the benefit of consumptions are accessible without paying for them. Now, as a Western consumer, we are buying the chemical product, we are buying the plastic product, but we are not paying for that because of the imperfect information is available. So market forces alone cannot provide an allocatively efficient level of the resources. So there is a policy evaluation criteria are to be worked out by the three parameters, very categorically. Number one, allocative efficiency. Require resource be appropriated such that benefits are equal to cost. So government have to frame the policy that if the water is to be used, for example, for generation of the electricity, what are the costs is being occurred in the implied way in the case of non-availability of the hygienic water to the society, and at the same moment the electricity generated, residuals are going to be emitted in the environment at large, and how the environment is going to be protected. Cost effectiveness requires the resources are to be, least amount of resources to be used to achieve an objective. So here I have shown the different type of the electrical bulb which can be used to make a cost effectiveness by providing the proper level of the illumination to the society at night with a minimum cost. And that too resulted into the environmental quality. The fairness of the environmental risk burden across the segment of society or geographical region is going to be make the important point. So overall government policy approach should be two types. Number one, command and control approach. Regulate the polluter through the use of fuels. In India, we have the so many fuels are being made, but with a due respect to the bureaucrats and everything, we can know that how it is being practically being implemented. So there is a need is happening to establish the command and control approach by government policy and also by the society awareness. Government have to implement certain policies by which the individual citizen can put some polluting sources and not to disclose their name to the polluting party, resulted into the benefit to happen. Now in India, we have come across that command and control approach could not work much better way because of the so many different type of the practical situation. So we should go towards the market-based market approach. That is an incentive policy that encourages conservation or pollution reduction. That polluter pays principle means polluter pay for the damage caused. So maximum never have been established. Above the maximum never, if something is happened, they are being charged for that. Their income tax rate may be more. Their local tax rate may be more. If they are being charging, they are generating the pollution lower than the maximum level, you give them some rebate. That is the pollution prevention strategies are to be generated by them. And short-term policies are to be decided to manage an existing problem. So we should identify the different type of the market instruments. As a finance person, I use the word instruments, market instruments. Like how we can do it. We can decide, number one, the pollution charges beyond certain level, certain percentage rate. Provide the subsidies to them. It means that if as an industrial organization, I am being generating a lower level of pollution, and when I establish my new unit, I may be getting a one-time higher level of the subsidies. So that what happened? That when the profit-making organizations are planning to be make more and more subsidiary units, more and more plants, they are knowing that when they come to the second plant, they are going to be how the greater benefit is available by way of the capital subsidies. Don't have to say think that the capital subsidies are going to be misused. No. You can directly give it by the way of the banking system loan. Like bankers are giving the loan of 15 lakhs rupees to the units. Now subsidies are being available to the unit of 5 lakhs. So government of India or state government will give the 5 lakhs rupees to the banker as a repayment of the loan by the firm. Resulted into the outstanding loan of the firm is reduced to the 45 lakhs. So possibility of the leakages of the fund is not going to be happening. Third, deposit or refund system. It means that whenever any chemical units have been established or such type of the polluting industries have been established, government should try to be take the deposits from them. Okay, and now those deposits are going to be of say certain long-term period, and they are being paid an interest based on the pollution percentage. It means that lower the pollution percentage, they get the higher percentage of interest on their deposits. Higher the percentage of pollution, they get the lower percentage of interest. This is the one of the way. They should, government of India is sometimes to say that we should allow the pollution permission taking system, where what is going to be happen, that as an individual company, if I am having some pollution, I have contained the pollution, so I get certain instrument by way of benefit, which I can send in the open market, which I can send to the another polluting organization, and I get the market prices for the same. So these are the way, different type of the staircase government have to create. So pollution charge is a fee that varies with the amount of pollution in it, what I mentioned it. Product charge, a fee added to the price of a pollution. Another logic is coming that whenever there is a chemical is coming, say for example, chemical X is being supplied by 10 to 20 suppliers in the city who are being manufactured. Then the firm A, who is having a pollution level 2%, maybe charging a pollution charge, based on 2%. If the pollution is going to be 5%, the charges they have to charge is 5%. What is going to be happening in this case? That the organization which is highly polluting, not containing the pollution, making the ecological disturbances in the country, will be coming across to the parameters that they are not capable enough to survive in the market. Resulted into the market, they are not in a position to stand in competition. So they will be forced to contain the pollution. So modeling of a product's charge as a per unit tax to induce the firm to internalize the externality by taking the maximum environment cost in their production decision. I'm just using some economical modern words where MEC stands for maximum economical cost. And there is going to be the Pigovian tax can be charged. That is a unit charge on goods whose production generate a negative externality. So if they charge a negative externality with a stepwise marking, the product charge is going to be more. So government is going to be charged a different percentage of the local taxes, resulted into the supplier who is been creating the more pollutions, more damage to the society in the habitat level, river level, forest level, plant level, and so and so. So they will be coming to they are not capable enough to survive in the market because the society is not going to be buy the product from them. Resulted into they will be coming down to the household, and they have to make sure that their product have been survived in the market in the proper way. So rivers, necks, seas, forests, gas nets are going to be properly managed. The assessing the model too difficult to identify in terms of the donor value. It's very difficult to identify. But somewhere the Niti Aayog, or we can say the CMI, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, such type of the organization can support. Ministry of Economics, Ministry of Pollution can look for the abatement of the charges. Modeling can be done as an emission chart. I'll just have to take the photographs pertains to the northern pole of the globe, where we can say that there is a single polluter case is to be looked towards. So emission or effluent charge fee import directly on the H1 discharge. And then you can assess the economical incentives to be provided, which I already discussed. So emission charge export at a multi-polluter level, each polluter nature incentive to pursue a niche cost strategy. Here I have shown it by the photographs that the person is trying to use the small torch where the electricity generation or the night emission no one is going to be particular place, not at a higher level. So no cost abatters do most of the cleaning up, and high cost abatters pay more in taxes to cover the greater damage they do it. And that is going to be the potential increase. So this basically requires that after the COVID-19 experience and the second waves we have seen, the way healthcare sector have come into the problem. There is a need is happening that government have to assess the model and to change the taxation structure, which is nowadays being applicable across the all firms at a same level. Now that tax structure needs to be realigned with a different type of the pollution generation. So for each and every category of pollution, scientists and everyone have to involve with the economists and suggest to government that the way minimum and the maximum level can be established. So there is a pollution charge in practice is to be done. And that's why I shown the small child being playing with her, being looking towards the computer screen. So pollution charges to be market-based instruments to be done. 7 countries use the effluent charges to contain the noise pollution generated by the aircraft. Real-world application of the product charge. Navidon lubricant oils by Finland, Hungary, and Italy is the practically they have tried to become across to the parameters that how the pollution charge can be done in practice, which is not being, as per my knowledge, in India there is no direct taxation, no indirect taxation, no municipal taxes, no local body taxes are being aligned with the pollution being generated and the environmental have been damaged. So to make the habitat biodiversity to exist in a proper way in an urban area, the industrial units are to be made practically the working on those grounds. There is going to be the abatement equipment subsidy, what I suggest one time. Abatement of payment aimed at lowering the cost of abatement technology, attempt to internalize the positive externality associated with the consumption and abatement activities. So you positive externality to be associated with it. You can go with a Pigovian subsidy. Pigovian theory is basically the one of the very important economics theory what we use it in the taxation structure. A per unit payment on a goods whose consumption generate a positive externality. Payment equal to the maximum economical benefit. It means that if the unit is being generating the lower level, in India we are not in a position to come down directly to the zero level or very insignificant level. But SNAP can be decided in the beginning with a short-term measure like to be touched within 1 year time, maximum minimum level, within the 1 to 5 years, minimum level to be reduced, maximum level to be reduced, then 5 to 10 years, and then the way particular unit is going to be generate the pollution, they are going to be get the benefits. But this needs the conglomeration study to be done between the environmentalist, social scientists, economics, financial model, taxation model, it should move towards more different parameters. No particular industry should be benefited because the model is going to be give the generic benefits. So per unit subsidy on pollution reduction, a payment for every unit of pollution removed below some predetermined level. So if this is done, the right side photo is indicating that the very nice way the land is going to be there and the plants are going to be there. Those are going to be generated. So it's going to be the least disruptive than the equipment subsidy and perceive the effect of elevating the pollution level. Country at India, we require the both thing to do parallelly at this moment. Environmental subsidies internationally, many countries offer in the form of grant and lower interest rate. That's what I mentioned, that there is a grant is given or the subsidy is being given of the 5 lakhs. So instead of to directly give it to the company, today's digital model, because India is already being digitalized, banking system is being digitalized. So from the central government treasury or the state government treasury, in the individual name, the banks are getting the 5 lakh rupees. So the loan taken by them of the 15 lakhs rupees converted into 45 lakhs. The federal public in the United States is mainly working on such type of grounds. So cost classification we have to do from private business outlets, government, and personal private sector. I just come across to the words of the private business outlets also, which is basically when we try to be say the restaurant who is going to be use the chimney for making some product resulted into the pollution being generated. There are going to be the certain business outlets who may be generating the pollution like a bakery or so, who are not being come in the unorganized sector. In other words, I'm trying to say unorganized sector. Government is also doing, and the personal, private, and public sector units are going to be generate the pollution in the environment. So we should identify the environmental cost. So conceptually, we should decide the incremental cost. That is a change in the cost is happen arising from environmental policy. Explicitly, we can say that the administrative cost is required, monitoring and the enforcement expenses paid by public sector, plus public compliance costs incurred by own sectors. So there is going to be the fixed cost and variable costs to be occurred, and government have to support for that. So the very important thing that my suggestion is coming that there is a direct tax and the indirect tax, the structural parameters needs to be thoroughly aligned with the pollution level, environmental, ecological factors. So we identify the capital cost, that the fixed expenditure be occurred, production changes to be done, and the operating costs to be happen. Now, we can have the implicit cost is happen with a non-monetary effect that impact the society well-being. COVID-19, and once the person is come down, face the COVID, post-COVID health problem is basically considered as the implicit cost. Social cost we have to look towards the utilization of the utility level. So society has not to be taken.
Professor Paresh, how much time more you will take?
Maybe 2 minutes.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Not more than that, sir. I'm just now finishing up. So niche cost technology is going to be done by the engineering approach, where the social scientists and everyone is going to be associate with each other, and they will find out the cost efficient and technically efficient cost available technologies. Okay, this is being where I complete it. It will be my pleasure to help the question and answers. So engineering modern, so social scientists, then agriculture scientists, economists, finance person, everyone have to join together and to government have to move towards the new different type of the tax regime system. Snap-wise tax regime system which is being associated with the ecological level. Yes, sir. Any question?
So thank you very much, Professor Shah. I think that the most illustrative talk on the economic aspects of the pollution, which we were talking about, that without imposition of the pollution tax, heavy pollution tax, we will not be able to abate the pollution, because the industries, you know, that they are not following the rules. Our regulatory bodies are enforcing the laws, and that is why the everything.
So thank you, Gaurav. Very well presented by you.
And some questions or clarifications or comments, most welcome. It was a wonderful presentation by Professor Paresh Shah, a very dynamic aspect.
My suggestion is
yes.
Sir, my
Yes,
suggestion to the Shobhit University also that you can pass on the suggestions to the government agencies.
Yes, I have noted down the all these
tax systems should be changed.
Yes, all these suggestions in the validatory functions, these will be finalized, and the report will be suggestions.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you to the international organizations also, because many international organizations, for example, WTO, UNEP, WHO, all these, they are also playing a great role, because under the name of the development, they are creating such type of the technology, such type of the system, which is degrading the nature as a whole. And it was said that 780 billion population of the world, which is a load, population load. This is population load on the environment, besides the pollution load. So the pollution load, and it is a very disturbing aspect. What we are going to do? This is the right time when we must think about. So thank you, Professor Shah. And I think that now the next speaker is Dr. Arup Kumar Mitra. Am I correct? Dr. Sudhish? Yes. Arup Kumar Mitra, induction of post-COVID mycosis in West Bengal. The most debated topic of today. You will find that the many of the people, they are talking, all the electronic channels are talking about the fungal infection, mucormycosis, yellow fungus, black fungus, white